Good evening and welcome. Tonight we delve into one of the most pressing and contentious issues of our time, the border crisis. This isn't just a headline, it's a complex tapestry woven with threads of human stories, national security, economic impact, and deeply entrenched political debates. We're talking about the significant increase in migrant encounters, the policies driving mass deportations, and critically, how your hard-earned tax dollars are being allocated and potentially misallocated in response to this evolving situation. Our goal tonight is to cut through the noise, present the facts, and explore the various dimensions of this crisis, from the front lines of border enforcement to the halls of power where crucial decisions are made. Join us as we unpack the realities impacting communities nationwide.
Let's begin by grounding ourselves in the current situation. The past few years have seen unprecedented challenges at the U.S. southern border. We're witnessing record migrant encounters, with millions attempting to cross, straining resources like never before. These individuals come from varied origins, driven by a complex mix of factors, including economic hardship, political instability, and violence in their home countries. Many arrive seeking asylum, a legal pathway protected under international and U.S. law, presenting unique humanitarian and logistical challenges. The sheer volume creates immense pressure on Border Patrol, detention facilities, and local communities, transforming border towns into ground zero for a national dilemma. In response to increased crossings, federal agencies have intensified enforcement efforts, leading to a significant rise in mass deportations. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, has seen increased operations, including interior enforcement and expedited removals, directly impacting communities across the nation. These policies, often designed for rapid processing, have raised serious concerns about due process and human rights. We've seen instances of family separations and the deportation of individuals who have lived in the U.S. for years, contributing to the economy and society. The human impact is profound, tearing apart families and creating a climate of fear, even as authorities argue these measures are necessary for border integrity and national security.
Now let's talk about the money. Managing the border crisis comes at a substantial cost, largely borne by taxpayers. Billions in federal spending are allocated annually to agencies like ICE and Customs and Border Protection, CBP. This includes funding for increased personnel, advanced surveillance technology, physical barriers, and the massive logistical operation of migrant processing and detention. Detention costs alone are staggering, with facilities operating nationwide. Beyond federal budgets, local governments and nonprofits in border states are also shouldering significant expenses for housing, healthcare, and humanitarian aid. The debate isn't just about if we spend, but how effectively these precious tax dollars are being utilized.
The economic discussion around immigration is often polarized. On one side, there are arguments about the economic drain, citing costs associated with social services, healthcare, and education for undocumented migrants. These arguments often fuel calls for stricter enforcement. However, the other side highlights the potential economic contributions. Many sectors, particularly agriculture, construction, and hospitality, rely heavily on migrant labor, often filling roles that native-born workers are less willing to take. Migrants also contribute to the economy through consumption, and for many, through sales and property taxes. Understanding both the perceived costs and actual contributions is vital to a balanced perspective on how immigration truly impacts our local and national economies.
Beyond the economic and logistical concerns, the crisis at the border is fundamentally a humanitarian one, raising serious questions about human rights and international law. Asylum seeker rights are a cornerstone of international conventions, obligating nations to provide safe harbor for those fleeing persecution. However, policies like Remain in Mexico or Title 42 expulsions have faced immense criticism and legal challenges, with opponents arguing they undermine these fundamental protections. Legal aid challenges are rampant, with many migrants lacking access to adequate representation. The fight for human dignity against the backdrop of national security priorities continues in courts and advocacy groups, highlighting the moral complexities intertwined with border management.
The financial strain of the border crisis isn't just a federal issue.
States, particularly those on the border, are bearing an enormous and often uncompensated burden. Many states are facing unfunded mandates, forced to allocate their own resources for emergency services, housing, and healthcare for migrants without full federal reimbursement. This creates a significant disparity between federal versus local budgets. The result is ongoing reimbursement disputes and political gridlock as state governors plea for more federal support and resources. This divide highlights a critical flaw in current funding mechanisms and a lack of unified strategy, leading to fractured responses and escalating costs for taxpayers at both state and federal levels.
Given the complexity, what are the proposed solutions? The debate is fierce and multifaceted. One camp advocates for comprehensive reform efforts that address both enforcement and legal pathways, acknowledging the need for both security and humanity. Others call for enhanced border security, arguing that a stronger physical and technological barrier is the primary answer. Simultaneously, there are calls to streamline legal pathways for asylum and economic migration, reducing incentives for illegal crossings and allowing for more orderly processing. Community integration programs are also debated as a way to manage the migrant population once they are within the country. Finding common ground among these diverse approaches remains the biggest challenge.
As we conclude, it's clear the border crisis is a profoundly complex issue with no easy answers. It involves intricate legal frameworks, immense financial implications for your tax dollars, deeply personal human stories, and national security imperatives. Understanding the nuances, rather than relying on simplistic narratives, is crucial for informed debate. As citizens, your engagement, your questions, and your voice matter. Demand transparency from your elected officials on how billions in federal spending are used. Inquire about the human impact of mass deportations, and advocate for solutions that are both effective and humane. Staying informed and participating in the conversation is essential to shaping policies that truly reflect our nation's values and interests.